Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing a 2022 Ram 1500 Rebel to a 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with the Rebel. Check out their inventory in the description down below. Let's get into the video. Now let's start things off by going under the hoods of both of the trucks. Starting over here with the Rebel, we have a naturally aspirated 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 395 horsepower and then 410 pound-feet of torque. Now under the hood of this particular AT4, we have the Duramax diesel. It's an inline 6. It goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 20 around town and then 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 277 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque. You also can get a V8 with the AT4. It's a 6.2 liter V8, also goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and that engine is good for 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque. But that's under the hood of the AT4, and that's under the hood of the Rebel. Now let's go over the front ends of both of the trucks. Starting over here with the Rebel, we have the sport hood, which is really cool. You've got the venting here, and then you've got the accenting off to the side, and notice how it's all blacked out with the badging. And then moving from that, you guys can see we've got the Ram front grille here with the kind of like moustache looking grille. You've got the LED lights here, so we've got the reflector LEDs with the accent lights above and below those. And then notice how we have the fog lights down below, tow hooks here on the front end with the skid plate here, and we do have more skid plates underneath as off-road protection. But you guys can see overall there's the front end of the Rebel. And then popping over here to the AT4, you can see that we've got the Carbon Pro Duramax badge right here. And you can see with the design on the AT4 how with GM's design everything's kind of like flatter, a little bit boxier. We have these C-shaped headlights here with the accent lights around those, and then fog lights just down below. You can see we've got the massive GMC front grille with the camera there down below the GMC logo. We have the red tow hooks right there with the parking sensors along the front end. Aside from that, that's everything for the front end of the Sierra, so there you go. Now let's go over the tire and wheel setup with both of the trucks. Starting over here with the Rebel, we have 18-inch wheels and we have two 75mm tires wrapped around those. And then going over to the AT4, we have 18-inch wheels and we have two 75mm tires wrapped around those as well. So yeah, we have the same exact setup. Now as for the Rebel, we have about a 1-inch lift from the factory, and then we do have the off-road shocks that have also been added to the Rebel, and you can see just how aggressive the tires are here on the Rebel. And then as for the AT4, it's got a 2-inch lift from the factory, and then it's got the Rancho shocks. So they both have off-road shocks, and you guys can see that's set up right there. And then notice the fender flares here on the Sierra AT4, and then you can see the fender flares here on the Rebel. The Rebel fender flares definitely pop out a little bit more. Ram logo, AT4 badge, and then you can see the mirrors right here, and you guys can kind of see the difference in the mirror height. It's a little bit of a difference between both the trucks. We have side steps here on the AT4, nothing here on the Ram. And then we have a big difference here on the back end with the suspension. So here on the AT4, we have the leaf springs in the rear, and then on the Ram, we have the coil suspension in the rear. So what this does is the Ram stays a little bit more planted from a suspension standpoint because of the coil suspension compared to what you get with the leaf springs. So here are the key fobs for both of the trucks. You can see here on the GMC key fob, you've got remote start and then the tailgate drop down. And the Ram key fob, you can get those as options. This Rebel, though, is pretty lightly optioned, so it doesn't happen to have those. So we'll quickly lower down the tailgate there with the Sierra. 1,484 pounds of payload capacity with that one. And then over here on the Ram, we have almost 1,600 pounds of payload capacity. So we have quite a bit more payload capacity and quite a bit of snow there in the bed. But yeah, that's that portion. Now let's pop into the beds of both of the trucks, starting over here with the Rebel. This particular one doesn't have the bed utility group or anything like that, so we don't have any bed liner, but you can get that as an option from the factory. And then also that would give you the LED bed lights. This one doesn't have that again. But anyways, we got a cargo light there at the top, and you guys can see that this bed is 5'7" in length, and lifting up the tailgate, it's very light, very easy to get into place. Now popping over here to the AT4, this one is the Carbon Pro, so it has the carbon composite bed. You've got this to help out with getting in and out of the bed itself, which is pretty neat all in itself. You guys can see similar length in bed to what you have in the Rebel. This one does have the trick tailgate, which pops down as a step and all that, that fun stuff. I have that in my AT4 review. But anyways, lifting this up with that tailgate, it is quite a bit heavier to lift up. Now let's finish things up with the rears of both of the trucks. We're going to start over here with the Sierra. So you can see again, we've got those C-shaped lights here in the back. You've got all of your logos here on the back, and then you guys can see the trick tailgate. We have the bumper steps right here with the parking sensors down below, and then the receiver hitch. We have the squished exhaust tips that are all blacked out here at the bottom portion. And that's everything for the Sierra. Now popping over here to the Rebel, notice everything's blacked out with the badges. In the middle of the taillight, the exhaust tips, they are regular round exhaust tips. Receiver hitch just down below. But you guys can see everything's more rounded off here, whereas over on the Sierra, it's a little bit boxier. Now let's pop into the rear of both of the trucks. We're going to start over here with the Rebel. So this one has the two-tone interior, so you have the red and the black. It's really cool. You've got the white and the red stitching here on this portion, then notice that blacked out trim right there. And then here are the seats in the Rebel. So you can see it's a mix between vinyl and you have cloth here in the center. These seats are very comfortable. The cloth stays pretty neutral temperature-wise. The vinyl is easy to clean off. And the cushioning on them is just really good. They're one of the most comfortable seats in the truck industry. This pulls down to be a little like a cup holder armrest situation thingy, whatever you want to call it. We have some under seat storage. Sorry, it's kind of low light. And then you guys can see the ice bucket down there. And then popping over here with the center, you guys see the blacked out trim. You've got the vents right there and then all the red accenting around that. And legroom back here is plentiful, but we're going to close that up. And then popping over here to the Sierra, you guys can see here with the padding all over the door panel and then the trim right there. And then we've got the leather seats here, and notice how you have the brown leather here. The seats are perforated, and then you guys can see this seat storage, and then under seat storage, and then the floor mat situation. You can see that center area, and then same thing here, pulls down to be an armrest and some cup holders, which we can show that quickly. And legroom, just as good. So yeah. Now here's the door panel at the front of the Rebel. You can see again, you've got the contrast with the red and the black, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. I think it looks fantastic. And then we've got all of our window controls here with the mirror adjustments, and there's a quick look at the mirrors on the Rebel. And then here are the front seats. So again, the vinyl mixed with the cloth down below. We've got the Rebel logo. You can see the netting on it. Again, looks really good. Power adjustments on the side of the seat, rubber floor mats again with the pedals. We have our light control right here with the fog lights and the cargo light, pedal adjustments, and then that is for the parking brake. And let's pop in, get out of the cold finally. Boom, got the start up. Definitely cool. So here's the steering wheel in the Rebel. Notice we got leather all around the steering wheel with perforated leather here on the side. We're actually going to grab it. And then notice how we've got the red stitching on the inside. Cruise control, your gear limiter. These are the controls rather for the center stack. Voice command, phone controls, all that fun stuff. Radio controls are on the back. We have our turn signal / windshield wiper stock. And then you guys can see here with the center gauge cluster, you've got that big screen there in the center, and then the analog gauges on either side. Definitely looks nice, just aesthetically, as you can see, and it says Rebel there at the top, and it's a nice viewpoint, I will say that. Now popping over here, we have the new screen for 2022. First off, we pop it into reverse. We've got a backup camera with trajectory lines, and you guys can also see we've got the zoom function there with those trajectory lines as well. But moving on from that, you guys can see touch response time is really good, and you guys can also see we've got the climate controls integrated here into the infotainment system. The heated seat controls and the heated steering wheel controls are also integrated into the infotainment system. But yeah, it's a good system. It's easy to use. You've got shortcut buttons there at the bottom, and I'd rate it pretty good. Anyways, down below, we've got our analog controls here for the radio, analog controls for the climate controls, the heated seats, heated steering wheel. We have our tow haul mode here, stability control right there. We've got the dial shifter with our two-wheel drive, four-wheel high, four-wheel low, and then the neutral. Hill descent control, and then the axle lock that comes here with the Rebel package. And then you guys can see here we've got all of the USBs, all that fun stuff. We've got the center console, which opens up that way, and then this slides backwards and forwards. And then you guys can see you've got the storage space down here. There's a full power outlet. And then we've got the dual glove boxes that also come with the Rebel. And then notice the nice stitching and everything on the dash. Then the soft touch all over the dash as well. Definitely kind of brings things up with the interior. This one just has a regular mirror, and then it does have a power sliding window. No sunroof or anything like that. But let's head over to the AT4. Now here's the door panel at the front of the AT4. You guys can see the really nice material use all over. There's a quick look at the mirror. And then you guys can see we've got memory seats here, all of our window controls, the mirror adjustments. This one has the Bose sound system. And then here are the seats. They say AT4 on them. And then you've got the nice leather with the perforated leather here in the center. And then you guys can see the leather trim right throughout. Power adjustments there on the side. And then, well, it's hard to see the pedals down below. But anyways, light controls right here. Fog lights, cargo light, our drive line select, drive mode select. So we've got our tow haul mode on the one side and then the drive mode's on the other side. And just like the Rebel, let's pop in. Bada bing, bada boom. Make sure the volume's down. There we go. Anyways, here is the steering wheel. You can see leather trim all around the steering wheel. We've got the contrasted stitching. Controls for the center stack, voice command, phone controls. We have a heated steering wheel button right there, the cruise control, and there's radio controls in the back of the steering wheel. Turn signals / windshield wiper stock. We have the column shifter for that 10-speed automatic, which you can manually shift the gears yourself if you want. And then you guys can see the center cluster here, similar to the Rebel. You've got, you know, analog gauges on either side, and then you've got that screen there in the center which you can scroll through to get different bits of information on the truck. So just as usable as what you have on the Rebel. As for the drive modes, there's normal, sport, and then off-road here with the AT4. And then popping over here to the infotainment system, you guys can see we've got trajectory lines that turn with the camera. This has the full 360 camera system with it. With higher up Rebel packages, you can get a camera system that is very similar to this in Ram's own fashion. But there's a little bit of a price difference between these two trucks. Got to do with what you got to do with the supply issues lately. Anyways, as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time's great. It's got shortcut buttons at the bottom. It's easy to use, and yeah, that's great. Coming down below, analog controls for the radio, climate controls right here, dual zone climate. This has heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel as well, you guys saw earlier. So the Rebel doesn't have cooled seats. You don't have an option for cooled seats with the Rebel, so that's one thing the AT4 has over the Rebel. And then we've got a bunch of controls here. So we have our lane departure, parking sensors, auto stop start, tailgate drop down, hazard lights, stability control. That's for the outlets, and that's a hill descent control. And then you guys can see all the charging ports, and then the trailer brake controls, wireless phone charger. And then you guys might comment, this doesn't have a lock in the rear. So with GM, their system is completely automatic. So it locks the rear end when it thinks it needs to lock the rear end, basically. So yeah, take that for what it is. Got some cup holders right here, and then we have the center console, you can see, which opens up, all that fun stuff. And then we have the dual glove box. Definitely nice as well. And you guys can see all the soft touch material here. This one does have the camera mirror as well. No sunroof, just like the Rebel, but we do have a power setting window. And yeah, that's all for the AT4. Now let's quickly get into pricing with both of the trucks. So the AT4 stickers for about $65,000, and then this Rebel House equipped stickers for about $59,000. So there's about a $6,000 price difference between both of the vehicles. Now let's get some things up for our comparison between this 2022 Ram 1500 Rebel and this 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below which one you would rather purchase and why. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larch Miller Dodge Ram here in Sandy for giving me some time with the Rebel. Check out their inventory in the description down below. I'll see you guys.